Yeah.
And right into it.
Ooh, wee! Sweat Equity Podcast and Streaming Show, the number one comedy business podcast in the world. Hey, we talk to real entrepreneurs.
Did it again.
With real raw dog talk. Yeah. Listen to us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasts, Google Play, Amazon Podcast, Amazon Music, one of those two.
We broadcast in the Amazon over PA speakers.
iHeartRadio, if you're a corporate radio lover and you go to that app for some reason. We got Preston Brown on as our guest. Your Best Life Now, YBLnow.com. Or if you want coaching by Preston Brown, it's the PrestonBrown.com. Like the Ohio State, it's the PrestonBrown.com.
How many E's? T-H-E, not E.
Yeah, but like the.
Right, you're just saying it.
Like the Ohio State,
right.
Like the guys do when they're doing player intros.
Right.
Yeah, you know how it is.
What?
This episode is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one drag-and-drop content management system that kicks the shit out of WordPress, Wix, and Weebly. They got the Fluid engine where
their ad copy is awesome.
You can just drag and drop. You don't have to do any coding if you don't want to, but you can if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
You can track everything a lot better, and it indexes on Google for you. You don't have to mess around with that. The analytics are simplified. And look, the admin panel is like Apple made it.
Yes,
I would
agree with that.
That's why I use it to hand off to clients, because they can use it without bothering me. Are we ready to get this podcast episode going?
You are talking. That sounds weird. Okay, go.
Howdy Johnny.
What about my sweat equity? Sweat equity. Sweat equity. My sweat equity.
Hey, what I'm gonna do?
My sweat equity.
Fucking thing sucks.
Sweat equity. What about my sweat equity?
So wait, you flew Emirates, which alone is like out of our pay scale. I'm guessing to Dubai or something.
Yeah, we were going
to fly local.
We were going to Greece. It's part of a travel agency I own, and we do travel for high net worth individuals. Travel, create experiences. I mean, just all this stuff. It's a lot of fun. And I'd never flown Emirates, and my wife books Emirates, and I see these pictures online, and the first thing they do is they walk up and they're bringing you like Dom Perignon champagne and caviar and stuff that, like, I'm an El Paso, Texas guy, and we make great money, but like, you just don't think of spoiling yourself this way, and honestly, I couldn't fly there, fly back, and not have a chef for the rest of my life. I need this.
Yeah, Emirates. Did it fly Tampa to Auburn, Alabama?
I gotta.
Pretty sure they do.
We gotta go to Auburn for the Penn State game and take your dad.
Yeah. Emirates only.
Wait, are you in? You're born and raised El Paso, right? Is that military? I'm guessing. Family?
No. I'm just born here, man.
Wow.
I did join the Air Force, and so I am ex-military, but living here was just, that's where my parents made me.
Yeah, no.
And
I know
you snipped it out.
A lot of people have got that. First off, El Paso, it can be one of the roughest cities in the country. I found out from doing stand up there and staying in a bad motel.
I feel like that's a unique experience to you.
No.
You probably made a lot of enemies up there.
No, I was a sweet boy, and this was the show was pretty wild. There's just some cities that can be like that when you go to stand-up.
You were the one who didn't take his top off.
So you probably went down to Bart Reed's comic strip, I think.
I think so.
And one thing you gotta love about El Paso is the Mexican culture. And if you've ever been to a soccer game, or even like gone to some friend's house, like true Mexicans, where they have like a soccer game, there will be at least one fist fight if you have all the cousins and uncles there over the soccer game.
Yeah.
I mean, being a gringo, a white guy, I've never seen this at any of like the sporting events that we generally would go to with our families. But no, they're very passionate. It's a passionate people. They're a lot of fun. But man, I'll tell you what, you get in that comedy club. let me say it this way. This culture is so much fun, and I love this culture. But if you are a Hispanic family, all the uncles, cousins, all that, and there's one of the nieces or nephews that's chubby, you'll call them gordo, which means fat kid.
Yeah.
You'll nickname him fat kid when he's fat. It's a fun culture, but it's a tough culture.
Kind of a mean
taken,
culture.
Lots of shit given.
Well, I mean, I crushed, but the other three guys had
How
trouble.
many Gordos we got here tonight, everybody?
Well, I just
Gordo in the house?
I started dipping into crowd work about that time, so that's probably what I said verbatim. Maybe you were there,
You
but
ran out of all your Spanish
All
words
you-
pretty quick.
well, no. All you have to do, I think all I did was really go. There was a lot of families there, which was surprising because you don't see like a big table of families at stand-up shows a lot, and when you do, you're like, well, I've got to talk to someone at this. I got to find an entry point at this table because I know
Where's my Gordo?
if they're not the person that is like the person to make fun of, they're going to point to that person. That's usually my
they'll tell
strategy.
you. They'll tell on you.
Right. So like,
Which one's the easy one?
right. And so I think I made some not MS-13, but whatever the biggest. This is 12 years ago. So this is, but I remember like driving around. I'm like, this is a hard city. This could be a tough city. You have, Juarez is right across, right?
And what's funny, man, Juarez is actually tough. El Paso's like one of those low crime rate. I mean, people they'll play hard, they'll talk shit, but it's actually a pretty nice, genuine place. But it seems tough. I could see where somebody would get that gauge.
Well, maybe you're just a tough guy, and that's just normalized.
Right. Doing karate moves, Air Force karate moves.
Yeah.
No problem. For us,
You have
problem.
18 businesses with gross revenues over 180 million.
Those are old numbers, but yes.
Let's update
What are we
those.
work?
Let's hear it.
I'm just going
Don't be
off the
afraid to
stat
brag.
sheet they gave us. What's the updated numbers?
So that was 2020 and 2021. We hit those numbers. This last year, gosh, for 2020 going to 2021 was when we got our returns and saw all that. Now I'd say we're probably 20-30% larger.
Wow.
We've had significant growth through COVID and everything else. All of our businesses just took off. It's been a blessing, and I'll tell you what, I'm not losing any hair, but I'm gaining lots of face. Learning how to create new systems, create new processes, like solve problems we haven't dealt with before, and it's a boatload of fun, man.
Well,
That's awesome. Congrats.
yeah,
Holy shit.
that is something, when I seek out advice from a lot of people that are way more successful than me, the thing in COVID or the looming recession, the most successful people I talk to always see that as an opportunity. Is that how you? And remember, the word of 2020 was pivot. We're
Right.
going to pivot.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, if you should be always kind of pivoting, you should always be adaptable. And, market forces, unless maybe some of these businesses are really large, maybe affect that. But for the most part, a lot of businesses, I feel like, should figure out how to be recession proof, should figure out how, at least a contingency plan.
Yeah, so business, look, a recession is a fantastic thing. Like, anybody who's not excited about a recession is not in their heart an entrepreneur. If you want to grow a garden, the first thing you need is a giant pile of shit, and the second thing you need is a seed. Okay, the recession provides the pile of shit, and in a recession, you're the seed. Like, your idea becomes the concept, becomes the business, it becomes the flowering crops or fruit-producing crops that you're going to harvest later, and you needed this shit in the recession. Like, a recession, everybody's giving you one thing that you don't get the same level of in a good market. It's called feedback. In a recession, everybody's bitching, everybody's got problems, everybody's yelling, screaming, whining, crying. And if you're an entrepreneur, which basically means problem solver that's smart enough to sell their solution to customers, that's what entrepreneur means. Okay, and if you could scale that, then all that feedback gives you better access to optics to study those problems. And the recession's what makes you fucking rich. You just don't feel it till the boom. But in the recession is when you get rich.
Right. And that has been a theme I've picked up on a lot the last couple of years, that it is opportunity, is if you're entrepreneurial.
Yeah, I haven't heard the feedback part, though. That's really interesting.
Yeah, because I guess
Most people just take it as bitching.
yeah, or if you want to take it as maybe effort and time spent, and that's in the wrong direction. If you're just bitching online or bitching, to anybody who will speak, you're not really making an effort to solve your problems or a problem, right? Feedback loop's important, but that's on a customer scale usually.
Yeah, feedback in a recession is people are presenting what industry-wide problems are. Okay, so that's the feedback you're looking for in a recession. When you have a business and you're doing transactions with customers, the feedback can help you hone and tune because you already have the established relationship. What's nice about the recession, this type of feedback, 'cause there's lots of types of feedback, right? You'll get different feedback from your wife than you will from your business partner, than you will from customers, than you will from the general community, the sociology, not psychology, the we, if you want. You're getting an industry-wide or global, in some cases, hey, here's the big issue, here's the big problem, here's where we're in pain. Then you build a better mousetrap around that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that feedback, the kind of feedback you were just kind of talking about is all based out of fear a lot of the time, I feel like.
Yeah. And
I mean, part of your resume is it's kind of sprinkled in. You're more about the psychology of business, and that's how you're able to scale and grow and help coach other CEOs. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, breaking down business. I mean,
We talk about it all the time.
it is psychology when you really break down it's how behaviors flow and trying to just have a good mental kind of acumen or just good horse sense in a lot of ways to make decisions.
Well, you know what? Let me give you guys this so that your listeners could maybe get $1 million or $10 million or $100 million out of this podcast when they listen to it.
Obviously,
Sure.
that happens all the time.
Single greatest problem that every business owner has. Okay? Single greatest problem. They don't have an effective map. I mean, it's really just this. And there's like 6 types of business owners, and nobody knows which type they are.
Oh, can
Okay?
we talk about that after you're finished?
Yeah.
I want
no.
to hear those 6 types.
I'm going to dive right into it.
Okay, good.
And the reason is most business owners are doing the right thing at the wrong stage in their business. Okay? Like, say you're a startup company and you come listen to a guy like me who last year I think my net was 14 million and I paid 0 fucking taxes. And I'm going to give you ideas. That's not true. I paid taxes if my income was like $500,000, which
IRS
was
is big on our podcast.
Okay?
Real popular,
So-
the IRS.
Good.
Careful.
I love them.
Careful.
Because
I love them too,
follow-
and law does too.
I follow all the tax laws. Trust me.
And now they're-
those 80,000 new IRS agents aren't for me.
And now
they
they're-
already know my fucking name.
And now they got
But-
GATs on them.
I know, armed now.
Right?
Totally
and see, They don't
necessary.
even need to come to my office because we follow all the tax laws. But say I'm going to give you information on how to legally, ethically never pay taxes again. I'm at this investor philanthropist stage of entrepreneurship where part of what you're investing in is there to offset income and gains. Well, if you're a startup company and you need to be focusing on your customer and customizing to whoever your customer is supposed to be because you're in a huge race for cash flow, let's start at the beginning. The first stage of entrepreneur, right? This is somebody that hasn't fucking taken the leap. They haven't taken a risk. They haven't bought in. They're a wannabe. Now, this person has a mindset issue. You have to solve it. You have to overcome it. You have to get them in the door, right? Once they're in the door, then they're a startup. They've taken a risk. They've got a race for cash. They're going to customize everything desperately to find a customer that they can marry that will continue serving them, or a customer archetype, if you want. Not a single customer, obviously, in most businesses. But that customization for the ones that survive, 50% fail, year 1. For the ones that survive, takes the startup into this new phase where they found the customer, but they got rewarded for being exceptional, okay? And they succeeded at being exceptional. They customize. They graduate to another stage called operational entrepreneur. Operational entrepreneur, which probably should be called slave labor, okay, is where you're a slave to your business. You got in for freedom. You got in for wealth. You got in for all this. All you got was an 80-hour-a-week fucking job. You fucked. So now this operational entrepreneur got rewarded by being exceptional, and he's made exception, and he doesn't realize, oh, fuck, a business is sort of like a car. It's an optimized machine. If your engine made an exception and decided to be exceptional on your way to the grocery store, you'd never get there. You'd literally blow a rod, right? So now you get into this operational entrepreneur. We have to take this guy away from customizing, get him into optimizing, creating systems, processes, tools, setting expectations, measuring expectations. Then he becomes this entrepreneur character, and he's like, "Wow, I've got all this team set up. I've got a CRM, I've got process, I've got systems, but I'm doing the same amount of volume that I did before when it was just me. And so what I really got was a big fucking pay cut. But hey, I got my time, but I don't have enough money to live on in some cases. So I got up to entrepreneur, I'm there, but holy shit, like my lifestyle as I was building up, growing, it's higher than what I have. So then you get into an immediate new problem. You need to scale. People have no idea how to fucking scale. They're like, oh, scale means scale everything. And every fucking coach tells you, oh, you got to scale everything. No, sometimes you're going to scale your brand. Why? Because if you scale your brand, you can scale your margins, you can charge more. Once you scale your margins, then you scale the size of your team. Why? Because when your team gets larger, then you can serve more people, your capacity goes up. Then you scale your sales. Once you've scaled your sales, then you go back to scale brand, scale margins, scale team. Like so there's different levels of scale when you go into this operational megapreneur. And eventually once you scale to a level where the margins are back and everything's back, and preferably a little more than that, you hire the higher level team, which means generally starting with the CFO, tracking numbers, setting budgets, the COO, and CMO. These are people that do mundane tasks. They're high-level, mundane task employees. Once you have them, you become the CEO, then eventually you train a CEO to replace you. It's basically somebody you're paying to be the owner so you don't have to be. CEO stands for Chief Executive Officer. I know people with 10 people at their company, they've appointed a CEO, dumbest shit they could do. You're not at the CEO level, don't fucking do it. So for all the entrepreneurs with 10 people at their company that have a CEO, and everybody does that because I'm going to reward you with this title bullshit. Fuck it. No, get rid of it.
Well, titles are free. You can just appoint them.
Right.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Oh no, they don't come without penalty, but you can change your LinkedIn to whatever you want. Like
you can, but the moment you have the title of CEO, that's looked at differently in a court of law than somebody who's considered a director of operations
or president of You're correct, but I'm saying like outwardly.
Other than that,
on
those
things,
big ones, biggies.
Give them a big title that Wall Street wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay? Like if you want to give them a big title, you could say you're the customer satisfaction engineer.
Right.
Okay. The
Chief
moment it's like
Growth
CEO, yeah,
I've seen
shit
that.
like that. Yeah, that's fine.
Chief,
But
insert whatever thing you want, officer, and that's people feel great about that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chief clerical officer.
Yes.
Success officer.
Phone officer.
Exactly.
Chief coffee officer.
But so when somebody goes out and starts talking, like, hey, here's how you get out of tax advice, and you have the operational entrepreneur who's the slave to their business, and now he starts throwing all of his cash flow into getting out of taxes. You know what? His taxable income will go down. That's fine. But he didn't find a way to get his time back. He did the wrong thing at the wrong stage. Like, he did the right thing, but it was at the wrong stage. At that point, he could still get out of taxes by just expensing it, by hiring great people, getting great systems. In business, solve the problem on the stage you're at. The first thing you do is identify the stage that you're at. Once you know, and everybody's oscillating, most people are oscillating between 2 and even 3 because they're getting different advice and in a lot of cases bad advice, right? And if you solve the problem you have today, there's nobody out there that can't be somebody doing 100 million in revenue. Like 100 million in revenue is not even a crazy amount of money anymore. It's just people think it's a crazy amount of money. It just means you got epically good at solving a problem and you built a great team around the idea of solving that problem, and then you solved it for lots of people. That's all that means.
You're like the business John Cena because you kind of look like a skinny version of him to me. You see?
Oh yeah, like John Cena after he retired from the NFL, or he was like John Cena as an NFL. No, but you know what I'm.
Yeah, he stopped doing
I know
steroids.
He was a wrestler, right?
Like, yeah.
Sure,
but he still works out. He still does CrossFit
keeps
or
his shit
something.
together, but.
I'll be the business John Cena without the steroids.
There, you can keep that.
Yeah, that's yours.
I'm the business John Cena. Can't see my prices.
Well, you do have a certain like John Cena, like he's very successful in a way that there's a certainty behind what he's saying, even if he's doing Chinese Mandarin to apologize for Fast and Furious in China.
Did he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
And then Americans are like, nah, dude. But it's one of those things where you have this amount of certainty, and I'm guessing because you've seen a sample size that is relevant and reliable, right, of this cycle. As you were talking about stages, I kept thinking of Maslow's hierarchy of needs for a business in a way. Like, you have this stage, and they're kind of, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you can kind of wiggle it a little bit, but it's pretty standard. And what you're saying is pretty standard as well.
I'd like to bet you probably have a pretty kick-ass infographic of all of what you just said. I hope.
Yeah, in fact, we're remodeling the office. A lot of it's behind me on those sheets of paper while we're in the remodel.
I know. I almost got up close to the computer to try and read it, but I held back.
I see business model.
That's all I could read.
I've got good eyesight.
Actually, Jesse, would you grab them, the business documents?
Where's
Grab
Isaiah?
them all.
Where's Isaiah with my coffee?
Isaiah with my... Oh, fuck, you brought it in and I didn't even see it.
He's pretty good then. All right, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he snuck in. When did he come in? That's awesome. Jesse, make sure we email them all of the business documents, including the different stages and all that. And then you guys can give it away. Like, look, I look at if you want to work out, just go outside and fucking run, right? Like that gym, the outdoors, the great outdoors is the free gym that everybody has access to. And then a lot of folks, they do a little personal training, whether it's listening to podcasts, whether it's this, whether it's that. That's not free. It either takes your time, it takes your money, it takes whatever. If you go hire a coach, if you go listen to podcasts, you're investing some time. So I'll send you those documents. You guys are welcome to give them away to everyone. I think everybody should have plenty of fucking success in business, or at least whatever their goal is.
Yeah, because part of the thing is, look, you have the blueprint, right? You're at that. You're in this rarefied air where you've been successful, still are successful, done it multiple times over.
Still got the juice flowing too.
Yeah, still most people
excited about it.
But not the steroids. Not the steroids. Different juice.
Natural juices.
Could be
juice.
All natural.
Could be Winstrol. Yeah, it could be the cutting one. But it's that thing of like you could give this to someone one-on-one, right? And this is the business Bible, and they still won't take it.
Right. They could have every tool they need to carry that out step by step by step. Boop, boop, boop. They can do it, and they don't do it.
That's the interesting thing about life and human behavior. It's like the people that go through like Lowe's on speakerphone, having a full conversation, and not realizing they're a fucking asshole for doing that. And annoying everybody in the
they're going to be stuck in the operational entrepreneur phase for the rest of their life, 80 hours a week.
Well, so that part where you're talking about, you have to know what stage you're in. Self-awareness is something that is kind of left out of people's life.
Speaking of rarefied air,
I mean, look, go on any plane that's not Emirates or whatever, your own flight, your own private jet. Go on any flight, Southwest flight. Look how many people
savages
spatially aware of their surroundings. So what is your formula for living purpose with purpose?
Oh, so that's dipping into the psychology side, and honestly, it's my favorite question. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
Let's answer it in a different way. Have you ever been pissed off?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. If you had a menu of emotions that you could order at a restaurant, and one of them was pissed off, and one of them was grateful, and one of them was passionate, and one of them was happy, or any number of acronyms you can give for happy, would you choose pissed off?
No.
So,
Law's answer is no to.
I don't know. I was like, maybe one day, some days. Being pissed off is
some people would.
Is cathartic sometimes.
Sure. But it's also a Band-Aid, I think, but whatever.
Sure.
So, I would probably honestly choose it every now and then, just so that I could have the counterbalance to the others for the threshold, right?
Yeah.
But
can't have a Caesar salad every time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In most situations, I want the good emotions. So here's kind of the living on purpose. Living on purpose is if you're experiencing emotions that you would not actively choose, it is realistically happening because you are living in what's called subconscious patterns. Your subconscious mind has developed patterns. There's things that trigger you that you are currently anchored to. Oh, if I see that, I get triggered and I immediately feel this bullshit, whatever it is, right? And that creates a significant emotional vent based on some emotional event that you had in the past. So if we look at that and we say, okay, well, then that's fair. That makes some sense. My subconscious behavior choice was anger because of something I probably wouldn't have chose if I was consciously aware right now. Then let's say if consciousness is what makes us human, I'll pose the question, is subconscious subhuman if it's making you act in a way that you wouldn't fucking choose?
I would have to say yes then.
Yeah.
In that context, yes. Subhuman.
So that's
less than human.
when I'm teaching living on purpose to folks, like, and normally it's not something you go into deeply on a podcast. It's something you're normally doing at a more intimate event. You got 5, 10, 25 people there, and you get people getting pretty like vulnerable, pretty intentional, going back to their past experiences in life. And what you find, or at least what we found, because I'm sure different folks have had different experiences, is we find that the thing that is causing the most pain for most individuals is also their greatest source of strength if they start flipping the meaning that it generates. So once you start flipping the meaning, you take all that soil that was creating a shitty life, you plant a seed in it, and something beautiful grows out of there. Like, you know,
subjugate. Take it, make it a bad into a good.
Sure. I mean, and honestly, I think it's true.
You're just looking at your word of the day calendar on your backpack.
No, I was reading about this because I fully believe in that too. Try to turn anything that was bad that you're dealing with into a strength or into something positive.
Right. Look how far you've come despite of this.
Well, look how jacked I am, dude. I'll give you a run for your money. No.
Hey, back to the steroids part, guys. I
want to take steroids.
I don't think I want to mess with Preston for some reason.
No way. I feel like you have the energy. Like in high school, when you'd see a fight, my philosophy since high school was crazy beats big. I feel like you've got the inertia that would put you in the crazy category because I feel like you're a Fight Club guy that wouldn't give up, right? Like you could see. No,
I'm not talking shit to Preston.
I know. No, he could fly over here in his jet.
I know.
You're welcome to Tampa anytime, by the way. That's interesting, and it's not. That's more it's broad, but it's pragmatic. Which I was worried you could go the Rick Warren, the purpose-driven life kind of way, which is nice.
Well, it's like a familiar theme that we've heard a lot. Basically, a stoic idea of taking a minute and addressing whatever reaction it is you're having, and when you're able to do that, then you won't go subhuman. You're automatically not subhuman. You're thinking consciously about it.
Right.
That's a common theme with people that we've had, especially successful people.
For a lot of people listening, I think the little thing everybody could do is take 5 minutes. The unanalyzed life's not worth living, or whatever that's paraphrased as. A lot of people don't take that 5-10 minutes a day to go, did I win or lose this day? Am I on track with the things I want to do? Because
what could I have done better?
The thing I'm trying to write a bit about is just people that are lazy as fuck and they say they're busy and drop the ball on things.
Right.
Like in a friend outside of work kind of thing, more of a friends or family, like, oh, I've been so busy. I'm like, I don't think you are.
Yeah, that's when that anger comes in. It's angry when it's like, well, oh yeah, what are you busy with? Man, fuck you, man. I gotta tell you.
No, I don't. I take everybody at face value. Maybe that's being naive, but it's
my
one
close
of those
friends. I kind of put the screws to them.
You can. It's like you were talking about. You can fill your day like the feedback part we were talking about, where you can take all that energy and time and go bitch, right? And that's a form saying everyone's saying I'm busy these days. And they ain't. That's the kind of same wasted energy, I think. With a little time left, we want to keep to. You probably have a busier schedule than us. What advice would you give to your 13-year-old self?
Ooh, that's a good one. Let's see. What advice would I give to my 13-year-old self?
You can
off the bat. I would say, one, don't be so fucking hard on yourself. You're going to do a lot of stupid shit, and it's probably going to be some of the most fun shit you do. And while it's costly in the moment, it's going to be the best teachers you'll ever have. And so be less hard on yourself. So that's probably one. Two, fall in love with data. Fall in love with data. Like,
wow, we never heard that one.
It took me years to realize that, all of the gurus, they go out and they say, oh, thoughts are things. Okay. Well, if you break apart the word information, a thought doesn't become a thing till it comes inside of you, and there's some shit that happens to create the formation into whatever the thing the thought became. And so information, you got to bring that shit in. And data, there's a reason all of the largest companies on the New York Stock Exchange are no longer oil companies. It's because the data companies, think about it, Amazon, data company, Meta, data company, Apple, data company. I mean, these are data companies.
Health insurance companies?
Right. Credit.
Probably. That shit's more expensive than all of it. Cross them.
And Amazon, the scary thing about Amazon, people just think about them as the thing that delivers stuff. And you're like, ooh, they own all the web services. Like Amazon Web Services is huge. Yeah. And
they're data.
And they're
big data.
Yeah. And they're almost so great, they control the labor market in a lot of ways. Or at least a lot of people want to give it that kind of credit. Interesting. Wait, yeah. I want to go back to your first one. I don't know if you have a third one. You're on a roll.
No,
you had two.
Mainly those two. I mean, I think those two, because the other one, the data one, if you could find a formula for it, and there's almost nothing that hasn't been done, okay? There's nothing that hasn't been done for the most part. Like, there's a few innovators, like the people that invented Google, Zuckerberg invented Facebook. Like, there's very few pioneers. Almost nothing has been done. So if you can get the right data, that's where you stand on the shoulders of giants and do it better. Okay? Fall in love with data. Like, that is probably the best advice I could give anyone, because one of the things that pisses me off about a lot of the folks that I coach, they're like, oh, I don't like numbers. I'm not good with numbers. And I'm like, I'm not a good accountant either.
Right.
I don't want to do accounting. But that doesn't mean I don't like numbers. I like fucking numbers. If you ask me how much money is in this bank account right now, I probably know that number off the top of my fucking head. Now, if you ask me how much we expensed on, I don't know, our TBM 850 in fuel revenue on lease flights last month, I don't fucking know. Call the bookkeeper. Leave me the fuck alone. Like, I don't want a page full of numbers, but you can give me the bottom line numbers. Don't say I don't like numbers. Just say, I want to deal with the important ones. Data is fucking everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell you right now, nobody's done something that brings all the data into one place in a digestible format. I can tell you that right now. Somebody figures that shit out.
Yeah.
I will be first, and maybe it will be me. And I got to learn a lot of stuff.
And the one thing I always hear is EBITDA is usually the go-to metric a lot of business owners need to keep their eye on for the most part.
Which stands for what law?
Earnings before income and the
ta-da.
Ta-da. We don't have a lot of time left. I want to go back to depreciation and something else. I hate accounting too. I want to go back to the thing that first one you had. Can you give us some examples of some of the things that you were hard on yourself that you maybe have worked on at this point and wish you did it earlier?
So, control is a fallacy, okay? No different than anybody else. Like, obviously, everybody has a journey. I grew up broke in a little mobile home park outside of Canutillo, Texas. And my dad, wanting to set our family free and get out of poverty, went and opened his own business. To make a long story short, he didn't know how to bill, collect, or charge. So after 3 or 4 months in, my mom lost her job. The big fight happened. The frying pan went flying across the room, lodged into the wall, clanked to the floor. And my dad heard these words. He probably heard a lot of fucking words, but these were the main ones. A real man can feed his family. Don't come home if you don't collect what you're owed. Ooh. So I got to be the charity piece, drove up to the asshole's house that hadn't paid my dad. And I watched my dad, all fucking 6'4", the guy, like, he's a big guy, big broad shoulders, not like me. And he was towering over this little weasel of a man. And I was like, I knew what's going to happen. My dad is going to own this son of a bitch. He was going to demand his cash, and he did start that way. And this guy was going to pay. We were going to go home. Everything was going to be fine. Only demanding went to asking went to groveling and begging. And this little pipsqueak weasel of a man used money over my dad and completely mastered it. We took a fraction of what we were owed, drove down to the Smiths, now in Albertsons, and I got to ride back. We didn't say a fucking word. I watched my dad shed a tear, and he was a man that didn't cry. And I rode back with a box of ramen noodles on my lap. Well, from that point, when I was a kid, I was 7, maybe 8.
Damn.
And
Powerful.
I knew that I was going to master money because nobody would make me a slave like they made my dad. My dad, to his credit, beautiful man. My mom was a serious lady. She would have left his ass. She told him, if you don't collect, don't come home. Well, he collected what he could. He came home. He gave up on his fucking dreams and chose to be my father that next day. He went out and got a job. Gave up all of his finance dreams. So I spent up until 2019 being really fucking hard on myself over anything that had to do with money. I needed to control everything. And control is a lie. It's a con. You're not going to control anything. You need to have fun and flow through things. And, you know, I'm a 40-year-old guy. I got more gray hair than my 60-year-old friends because of how much I tried to control over the years. Now, you know, I look at all of it as a blessing. But there were times where I could have had a blast, and I didn't because I was being hard on myself because something wasn't perfect. You want perfect? Jesus lived 2,000 years ago. I'm not that. You're not that. I don't know anybody that is that. And if there's anybody pretending to be, they're probably a dick, and I don't want to know them anyway. So, you know, don't be so fucking hard on yourself. That's what I mean by it, because once you give up on being perfect and you start just perfecting a little bit every day, then progress equals happiness. Life becomes not just an investment, but also a gift.
Yeah,
Maybe Preston is Jesus.
I think this has been the best interview we've had on the show. Appreciate you coming on.
Ever?
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to go.
I don't think of it in that terms. I love all our guests equally.
Well, that's some hippie
Yeah,
shit.
really good.
I believe in capitalism.
I mean, we've had, you know.
You guys are awesome.
That's a tough story. I mean, that's a powerful story.
My love is not unconditional for the guests. I am not Jesus. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. And theprestonbrown.com for the coaching. I saw the websites being worked on. And YBLnow.com for your best life now sessions. Maybe we need to go to one of these.
Yeah.
Road trip it.
Gotta check it out, man. 4 trips a year. They're the best freaking things you can imagine. We just got back to give you one more quick story. We went to Machu Picchu, everything 5 stars, absolutely top notch. But one thing we noticed there, because we like to give back in every area that we go. So our relatively small group shows up to Agua Caliente in this little town, and like 18% of the kids have shoes. Well, you know, an interesting statistic, 18% of the children in that province go to school, because you can't get to school if you can't walk through the jungle, and you can't walk through the jungle if you don't have fucking shoes. So we found a Peruvian shoe manufacturer, and we raised a little money. And over this week and last week, since we've been back, they have been acquiring and putting shoes on every fucking kid in that province. And we will change generationally the way that people in that community live, because we're going to improve the education proposition and get all of those little kids to school where they can get a hot meal and an education. On top of that, we got to hang out with Gabby Bernstein, Dave Asprey, JJ Virgin, world-changing people, learn all about faith. Man, you get a chance to check out YBL, do it. It is life-changing.
You're picking up where Tom's shoes left off or forgot. Appreciate you coming
awesome.
on.
Yeah.
That is a really inspiring story.
It's amazing.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Y'all
for what
have an
you're
amazing
doing.
day on purpose.
All right, we will.
So, yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.